Fine.
Okay. All right. All right. So, welcome everybody to our English speaking support group. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. George, and we're going to be talking this evening about, well, some of the things that you guys probably encounter in your day-to-day life and your personal journeys when it comes to your health goals and your weight goals. I mean, everyone's journey is different and personal, and the circumstances, the barriers, the pros and the cons that people are encountering, they're all very unique, right? So what one person encounters aren't obviously very uh, the same with somebody else. But there are some common themes that I see when I'm helping people with their weight goals. And so I'm going to share some of that with you all tonight. And then I'm going to probably talk for about 15 or 20 minutes. But I'd love, importantly, at the end, for people to share their experiences. So really what a support group about is, it's not really about listen to me talk. It's about sharing your own experiences and your own thoughts in a safe and protected environment so that you can help each other understand different perspectives, get things off your chest, and learn something. So we'll talk for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we're going to open it up and kind of go around the group and have people kind of share their own perspectives. So the first thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to weight loss and weight management is that obviously, as you all know, it's easier said than done. The average person that comes in to see us is not the person that said, oh, hey, I gained 10 pounds for Christmas. Let me go see the Lean Dreams team to help with my weight. It's someone that has struggled for a long period of time, usually a big amount of their life, whether it's adulthood or even when they were an adolescent, with their weight. So this is typically a long-standing problem when it comes to weight. And the problem that we all see is that none of us are getting any younger, right? So we're getting older, our bodies are changing, our metabolisms are changing. And so, the way that we are dealing with things, whether it's our diet or activity or our lifestyle, has to change with it, right? I mean, you can't eat now what you did when you were 18 years old, and you can't do the same things now that you did when you were younger. So we have to be dynamic in our thinking, because it's a dynamic process. There's a lot of factors, obviously, that go into play when we're talking about chronic overweight or obesity, everything from your DNA, right, to, socioeconomic status, your culture, right? Some cultures are really big about mealtime, right? Big about being around the table and, sharing bread and wine or whatever your beverage of choice is. And so, I don't know about you guys, but I'm half Vietnamese. Whenever I go and I see my mom, the first thing she asks me is, "Have you eaten yet?" Right? And so I go and I'm getting food thrown at me. My mother-in-law, who lives with us, always is pushing food at me. Right? It's like I'm full, and she wants to give me her half of the plate, and I'm like, "No, mom, I'm okay." No, no, no. Basta, hijo. ¿Cómo se más? I'm like, I'm really, really full. Okay. So there's definitely a, familial part, cultural part. Those are things that we're all impacted by, but a lot of that we don't really control, right? I mean, you don't control your genetics, you don't control your culture, you don't control, who your family members are. The things that we do control, right? The things that we have power over is our mindset, right? Our behaviors, our habits, how to educate ourselves to do better, to eat better, to live better. And of course, how to make our lifestyle something that we are proud of, that is sustainable, and that is going to help us live longer, right? Be there with our families, our kids, our grandkids. So how do you make it sustainable? How do you be healthy? How do you achieve your weight goals? Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's easier said than done, but it is very doable. So one of the first things that I see with people when they're talking about their health and weight goals is, well, goals, right? Is it something that's realistic or unrealistic? I think that we can all achieve what we set our mind to. And I really mean that, whether it's with your career, with your personal life, with whatever you want. But when it comes to sustainability with your health and your weight, you have to be realistic with how you plan your path. Okay. What do I mean by that? So if you're asking yourself to lose 20 pounds in a month, that is probably not a realistic goal unless you're an MMA fighter and you're going to take Lasix and starve yourself to get on the scale to be under the cut for the fight. You have to do it in a way that's realistic. So we had a support group conversation a couple of months ago about something called SMART goals. And SMART goals is an acronym that basically talks about how do you set yourself up for small, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goals. That's what SMART stands for, to give yourself a better crack at achieving what you want to achieve. So when it comes to your health and your weight, right, you have to have realistic goals and you have to do it in a strategic way. Okay. So the second thing that I see is a lack of consistency. Now, consistency is a sore topic because, we all have things in life that are happening. Like right now, I'm moving a 6-bedroom house. I've got a couple of in-laws, a 3-year-old daughter. We're moving 5 states over. I'm changing jobs. I could use all of that as a way to say, well, you know what? My diet's going to change. My activity is going to change. All that stuff's going to change. And so consistency is tough when we're living this thing called life. Well, guess what? There's always going to be a bill to pay. There's always going to be a fire to put out, a family member to take care of, or a health problem to deal with. It never changes. In fact, it's probably going to get worse as we get older. So how do you deal with that? And I'm going to talk about the emotional component in a few slides, but how are you consistent when all this stuff is raining around you, right? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to establish a routine. You need to find habits that work for you. Take something that matches you, right? It matches your personality, matches your lifestyle. What works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. If I got someone that is on the road, they're traveling for business 4 or 5 days a week, how they meal prep or how they work out is going to be different than someone that's a stay-at-home mom, right? Or someone that is, a firefighter, someone that's a doctor, someone that's, working 3 jobs to make ends meet. It's different for everybody. So how do you find that consistency? Well, you have to, first of all, understand what you need to do, set those SMART goals I was telling you about, get help, learn about what you need to do and educate yourself, and then make small steps, little changes, right? It's easier to be consistent when you make small changes than if you make a big change and then try to make that last. So make things that match your personality, your lifestyle, make small steps, and then try to keep it sustainable. So the third thing that I see, and this is a biggie, all right, because I think most of you know that I'm a bariatric surgeon. I also do obviously a significant amount of medical weight loss, but the emotional eating or the eating outside of hunger is a biggie, right? Probably one of the biggest reasons why I see people fall off the reservation when it comes to their weight long term, right? Because it goes back to that topic of stress, right? When things pop up in life, right? I mean, I can't, tell you how many people have said, I had a family member pass away, or I had a major life issue happen. And everyone's relationship with food is obviously very different. It's very personal. Okay. Some people use gambling, some people use alcohol or substances or dysfunctional relationships, and some people use food. Right. What we need to do is take that relationship with food. We need to take that emotion that you use when you're dealing with stress and find something of a more structured and positive outlet for you. So, as an example, right? Some people use meditation or yoga or CrossFit or whatever, to help find an outlet for that stress and that emotion. And again, it's easier said than done, right? We could talk about it till the cows come home, but to actually do that and put that practice, it's not easy. Okay. So the fourth thing that I see that is a obstacle for people that are trying to lose weight and maintain it is this tendency of human nature that we're looking for that magic, right? Like we live in Narnia. I have a magical wand and I want that quick fix. I want that quick diet. I want that quick pill or injection or whatever, right? And it doesn't exist. I have people coming in all the time. I want bariatric surgery. I want to bypass. Make me skinny, Dr. George. Well, it doesn't really work like that, right? It's a partnership. You have to work on this. I can do the world's greatest, whatever, fill in the blank, sleeve, bypass, whatever. I can give you the world's greatest medication. But if you don't change what you're doing, right, if you're still going out to Starbucks every day and sucking down 400-calorie frappuccinos every day, it's not going to really work long term, is it? So when it comes to looking for that quick fix, it has to be sustainable. Anybody can lose weight on a P90X regimen or a juicing diet or a keto diet, right? Is it sustainable for you? I mean, I get people coming all the time. They're like, well, I lost weight for 3 months or 6 months. I lost weight. Well, what happened afterwards? Well, usually goes right back up again because it's not sustainable, right? You got to find those habits, behaviors that you can carry long term, that you're going to be doing in 10 years or 20 years or 50 years. So yeah. All right. So the next thing that I see is, and this is really one of the cruxes of any weight loss program or weight management program that's worth a darn, is food logging and tracking and documenting what you do. It's normal as humans to underestimate our calories and overestimate things like water intake, protein intake, and physical activity. All right. So when you do something like a food tracking app, it's putting everything down. It's trying to, I probably spend maybe an extra 5 minutes a day. All right. Once you get the hang of it, of logging what I put in my mouth, whether it's fluid intake or coffee or snack or meals. And then I can look back and I can say, okay, this is where I'm at. So I think that people have a tendency to wing it. I'd say probably over 90% of my patients from the bariatric surgery standpoint are not understanding food logging, are not understanding the importance of tracking the calories and the macronutrients. And that is incredibly powerful. Okay. Because otherwise, well, you're just winging it. So, and that's it. I don't want to keep talking. I want to really, open it up to the floor. I want people to not be afraid to share and talk about their personal experiences. I guess the first question I'm going to ask our group is to, share something from your personal journey that you think has been a barrier, number one. And number two, how do you think that you're going to overcome that?
So I have something to share, and I just keep thinking about when you say something like, I personally was overestimating what I eat. And like Dr. George said, we all have different goals. And what happened to me is I have a consultation with Brenda, our dietitian, and she's helped me out to get a goal. And my personal goal, it's related with my fitness journey. I take, I will say that I try to take seriously. I do my best. I try to work out 5 days a week, and that's a lot of sacrifice. That's a lot of consistency. I already said that I live in Iowa, so when you wake up and it's frozen and it's really cold, it is hard to say, okay, it's 5:30 a.m. and I gotta go and I have to, there's no choice. And what happened to me in the last weeks, that I really underestimate what I was eating. And so when I get to see, when I start logging my food, I was like, that's not, and my first thought was, this not possible, because how come in my mind, I was like, no, I eat 120 proteins per day, but I wasn't. it. And then I have the idea that I was pretty consistent with the amount of calorie, but it turns out that I wasn't. And it wasn't until I log in and had my consultation and Brenda started like, hey, Grace, you go one day from 100 calories to the other day to 2000. And so there was a lot of inconsistent behaviors. And what I want to say is, even though I thought I was consistent, because this was the problem, is I thought that I was very pretty much have a good routine, which it doesn't matter if it is good or not. The thing is, I was not being consistent. And the things that I thought that I eat, that was not happening. And those 120 proteins were not there. And so, and I also take a scan from it means I think 7 months ago, and then I did my other one, and I have 4 more pounds, and those were in my fat, not really in my lean mass. So it's not that I was developing more muscle. And I really want to share the point, like sometimes you get speechless, like you say, but how come? I work out 5 days a week. Well, it doesn't matter. I was not paying attention to the things that I was eating, regardless how much effort I was doing every day on my workout. And so I think like sometimes we underestimate the stress of our day, the things that doesn't go as we think they go, and so we start probably just eating randomly, not really having a routine, not really organizing our week or what we are going to eat or what type of snack should I have for those hard moments during the week, during the day that are going to happen. And so that's what I want to share. And it was thank you, Brenda. I know you are there. Thank you for your help. But I think it's something very frequently. I don't think it's something that happened to me. I think it's in human nature.
Thanks for sharing, Grace. Absolutely.
I agree with Grace. I try for my food blog. I'm just now starting up again to just be honest about what I'm doing and not try to cheat myself. If I did it, I did it. And I feel really bad because I was in a bad accident where I can't do physical activities anymore. So I really get nervous about the food that yeah. So I get it, but I'm like, what can I do? What can I do differently besides have control over my food? I have no control over anything else. I have to get control over this. So I do think it's me not being disciplined and having a routine. I think if I had a routine and if I set this goal and I say, hey, I'm going to stick to this routine, that it's okay to mess up. And I talked to the dietitian this morning and she told me that. She said, we're doing small goals. We're going to start off small. You're going to start off doing one thing so that if you fail at this, you don't feel like you failed at everything, like the world is over and it's ending. You have to keep going and make a routine up as you go. So I was really excited about her telling me that. And then I'm hearing it again from her, from you. So that really makes me feel good to know that like I'm going to struggle and everybody does, but it takes time. And over time, I'll get better at it. So I'm hoping that that's true. So I'm being very honest on my food blog. I am trying to get a routine with my household and also keep my word when I tell like Dr. George or the dietitian something that I'm going to do. I try to keep my word with it. Like I told her I want to cook at least once or twice a week. So I'm really going to try to put that in the schedule to make sure that gets done. So that just makes me feel good that you see that too, and you're going like to hear somebody else say the routine helps. So because it's not all exercise and it's not all food, you need both. that's my little thing.
Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. And you know what, Tara said, and honestly, nutrition is probably at least 80% of this. You can't work off a bad diet. I mean, unless maybe you're Michael Phelps, but for the most of us, you need to really, what do you think is easier or harder to do when it comes to 500 calories? Not eat that cheesecake or burn it off? Burning off 500 calories is probably like 45 minutes of CrossFit. I mean, versus just skipping it. So the nutrition is incredibly important, and you just have to be consistent about probably 80% of the time. You don't need to be a monk, right? And one of I think the tenets to sustainability is you need to still be able to enjoy life. So you want to go out and have a nice dinner. You want to go out and have a glass of wine, wherever your beverage of choice is. You want to go on a vacation, on all-inclusive in Cancun once in a while. Freaking do it. Okay, life's too short. We already do too many things in life we don't want to do. Okay, but Monday through Friday, Monday through half a Saturday, or whatever, you need to be keeping yourself honest, right? You just have to flip the paradigm on its head when it comes to healthy eating. Healthy doesn't have to be boring. Since when, right, as a society, did we say that healthy eating has to be, boring eating, right? So that's one of the reasons why we do support groups, is to break out of your bubble. We all develop these bubbles, right? We develop our comfort zones. We drive the same way to work. We do the same routines. We cook the same way. We do the same darn things most of the time. Well, guess what? Break out of that bubble and learn something new. Learn how to do a different cooking technique. Learn how to, hey, guess what? Orange Theory has that discount. Let's go check it out. Let me learn how to Zoom it. Let me go take a friend, shake my booty, and laugh it up a little bit. Let me figure something else out, right? And so that's how when you break out of your bubble, you're going to start enjoying life a little bit. It's going to be a cycle in a positive way, because then you're going to be like, man, I really enjoyed that. Holy crap, I didn't even know about it until I figure that out or talk to that person, right? So you just need to get a little light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what we're doing here, right? We're saying, listen, it is totally doable. You just got to start making small steps in the direction.
I was going
And
to say, Jay, even though you mentioned about of course, nutrition is very important. Sometimes, based on what you just said, you go for a walk and you find like, oh man, that is funny. I enjoy the fresh air, the going outside. And sometimes we underestimate the power of moving. I know it's hard. I know sometimes there are limitations, but when we start doing and actually come up with a different mood, especially the physical movement, how impact our mood, even if it is a walk or is a pool or wherever is happened to be. You one day you broke that bubble and say, hey, but I'm having fun here. It's not that I punish myself doing exercise. It's just I enjoy.
100%. Now, movement is life. And, whether it's exposure to just being outside in sunshine, or whether it's getting a natural endorphin release. I mean, endorphins, right? Increased neurotransmitter release. I mean, that's better than any Prozac they make on the freaking market. Okay. So getting that rush, getting a natural endorphin release, getting some sunshine, getting a breath of fresh air, moving your legs does wonders for the psychology. And we have our psychologists on board here, so I'll let them talk. But absolutely, 100%.
I think I started using my Fitness Pal app again, and I forgot when I was using it years ago that one of my issues I struggle with is I'm so OCD and anal about adding everything into it that it gets overwhelming for me. Like if you spray the pan with olive oil, I have to count that in because that's, calories and fat and it goes in. So I think I sometimes, like when you said overestimate, I'm wondering if I am just so exact that it's just, I don't know, it's just well, I guess you could say it's making me crazier than I am, because I'm so worried about missing, that cup of milk I added into a recipe, and because that's calories, that's protein, but it gets to be overwhelming. Is there a way around that? Or
Does one of our dietitians want to answer that?
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying like that it doesn't get overwhelming like with adding like the small stuff. Like the I don't know, like you added like a couple tablespoons of milk to the coffee and all of that. Or no?
yeah, like when you make a recipe, you know, like are you following? I'll say add this, this, and that, or it's like, okay, if I add butter to this, I have to include that, or if I put, you know, a little slab of butter on a piece of wheat toast, I have to, you know, add that. But especially when you're making a meal per se,
Mm-hmm.
it's adding everything into it, like, and that's where I guess some people might leave stuff out, like, oh, it's only minuscule. But to me, that can make or break or make a difference. But it also, to me, instead of just quickly writing, you know, oh, this is what I had, I have to go down and break it down and be exact. I don't know if I'm making any sense today, but that's something I noticed because I'm getting frustrated, and I used to be on my Fitness Pal all the time. And it's just something new. I started again. I stopped because it was recommended that I start it. And then I remembered that I'm just so OCD, I have to add everything. And I'm trying to break down like my portion side. Like if you're making a meal, you're adding all this in. And so you put it in like my Fitness Pal, what you put in. But then I'm trying to break down what I ate out of everything else. And it just has to be perfect. I don't know. Maybe that's my issue, is maybe I need to allow myself a little leeway. I have no
Hey,
clue.
um, actually, the way that you're doing it's the way that we normally recommend. Not a lot of people are going to do it because it takes a lot of time, like you said. I would recommend for you to stay with what you're doing because the more information and the more exact information that you have, the easier it would be for us professionals to guide you into, okay, maybe this is where it's going not the best way. Maybe we can do this or that. The thing with skipping, like, I don't know, like for example, it may seem innocent, like, okay, I'm not going to count like that teaspoon of butter. But first, we really need to determine if it's in fact a teaspoon because sometimes we underestimate what we're having. So it's always good to track. And when we start doing like, no, it's just a little bit of this, it's just a little bit of this, but eventually those little things, like for example, if you add um like 20, like five things that are 20 calories, at the end of the day, you're having 100 calories. So that's where we're like, yep, small things can go a very long way. And if you can track everything, that's perfect. One of the things that can help you is if you have recipes already set or things that you already know that you're going to have every day, create them as meals. That's what I normally do. So for example, for my pre-workouts, instead of including everything that I have before my workout, I just added like a recipe of all the ingredients that I have so that I just click on add and it's a little bit easier for me. So that can also work. Like if you have like set meals that you have, like set snacks or set recipes that you have, in the beginning it can be a little bit tedious to include them, but they can save you a lot of time afterwards and it can help you track everything a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. I guess Kyla. I'm just learning to, I guess. Sorry, that's the 2-year-old I'm taking care of who's watching
That's
Frozen and
okay.
running. Um, with my mom dying 3 months ago, my mom was like literally my caretaker. I have some unusual conditions, and she would literally cook for me. So it's a whole new learning curve for me because when I would get tired or the smell of food would make me so sick that I would start throwing up, my mom would take over. And so
Mhm.
now I'm the one making. Sorry, I'm gonna get a little. Sorry, I just get really emotional.
That's okay.
It's me. I'm the one doing everything now, and so it's overwhelming because my mom had everything the way she did, and so
Hmm.
I'm learning. I mean, I'm 37 years old. I should be proficient in the kitchen. That's why my boucher said I was never married because I didn't know how to be in the kitchen. Um, but yeah, so it's everything's a learning curve for me right now, and I guess I'm just struggling because I'm so used to my mom just having everything done for me, and yeah. So, but that makes a lot more sense to what you said. So thank you.
I'm sorry for your
Well,
loss. It's
yeah.
very hard to go through that so young. So I'm really so sorry. And like I always tell my patients, take it one step at a time. Like you have a kid, you're just dealing with your mom. I know it's easier said than done to be a little bit not so harsh on yourself, but just remember that you're doing everything that you can. And I understand you, not everyone has to be like a professional cook to cook. We I know that's a very, I don't know if that happens in the States, but that's also a very Latin thing that you're not going to get married unless you can cook. Yeah, no. That doesn't, like, cooking doesn't have to be very complicated. And if you ever need some help, well, you have the support group of other people that are going through the same journey as you on a weight loss journey. So you know that you have the support group, and you know that you can always reach out to other professionals. Like if you need help, you can know you can reach out to me, and we can always plan things depending on how much time you have, on your situation and everything, so that you know that you're never going to be alone in this. And most importantly, I really don't want you to feel that way. I know it can be very frustrating and overwhelming, and just, I don't know, to feel alone, but know that you are never going to be alone, whether it is your family, the support group, or any other professional in Lean Dreams.
Thank
I
you.
also want to send my condolences to you for that. And I want to say that you're doing amazing because I'm actually a chef. Like, I have my degree in culinary art, and I'm not tracking the oil that I put in the pan. Like, I'm not tracking the butter. Like, I'm just putting in the food and hopefully finding it and then seeing what serving side. So you're doing way better than I am. And I actually know how to cook. So I'm a little jealous because I didn't know we were supposed to be doing all of that. So kudos to you for that one, because yeah, that's gonna be hard to realize I have to track all of that because I definitely was not, and I use almost everything in the kitchen.
Thank you for the laugh tonight. I really needed that. So, um, but yeah, no, that's me. I guess that's part of being a nurse, currently not working as a nurse, but like it's literally like if you don't document it, you didn't do it. And so yeah, I guess it's drilled into you. So but thank you for the laugh and thank you for that.
Does anybody else want to share something from their personal journey that they think is a barrier that they're overcoming or working on?
Hey everyone, I don't have nothing per se to share. My name is Aisha and I am a week post-op. Um, and literally like 30 minutes before the Zoom, I swallowed a piece of gum. And I am a little scared about that. So gum has always been something that I utilize to help like with anxiety or like just to get through, tasks and stuff like that. But I was like resting and I had gum in my mouth. And then I kind of jumped up when I realized I swallowed it in my sleep. And so that's something that I know is going to be a struggle as far as just like getting rid of the habit. But does anybody have like any type of recommendation or like anything to share in regards to something like that? Because it's one of those things that I just kind of grew up doing, just chewing gum. Um, And yeah, I'm a little nervous because, like I said, I just had surgery last week. And so I'm just like waiting for something to happen, but I don't want nothing to happen, if that makes sense. So, any words of encouragement or
What
ideas
kind
or
of gum are
anything?
you chewing?
It was a sugar free, like extra piece of gum.
Okay. I switched to, and it's not sugar free, but you can get it sugar free. Double mint. Cause after chewing through it for so long, it tastes like Play-Doh in your mouth. So it
Right.
makes me spit it out. Cause it's like
Okay.
gritty and I have a texture issue. So this may just be for me.
Hmm.
But the texture of it just makes me want to just get it out my mouth after a while. But I do it the same thing. I have high anxiety, so I use it to keep something moving and concentrating on something else. But that does make me focus on textures. So once it gets to that gritty texture, I'm like, ugh, I gotta spit it out. So that may help. I'm not really sure, but if it's
Thank
okay to be
you.
chewing that or not, it's been about 4 years since my surgery. So I'm not sure if I'm actually
Yeah.
supposed to be chewing it, but I do spit it out. So
Right. Yeah. And typically I do. Again, it was just one of the. I guess just one of those moments I wasn't being mindful. I'm just literally sitting here resting, and I'm just like, I don't even know why I was still chewing the gum, but whatever. I know things happen.
Gum,
So I'm
listen,
just
gum chewing is fine after bariatric surgery. And if you swallowed a piece of gum, you're going to be fine too. So don't sweat it and don't lose any sleep over it. I would definitely, as Tara said, try to, you already mentioned, but don't do any gum that has sugar in it if you can avoid it, because obviously that's empty calories. But other than that, I mean, you know, chew gum. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'd rather you chew gum than smoke, right? So if you need to get a squeezy ball, if you need to do 10 push-ups, you want to chew some gum, whatever you need to do in a healthy manner. When you're stressed out, go for a walk the dog. I mean, everyone's got their own thing. I mean, if you're in a meeting, if you're with people and that's your thing, then do it. Okay. It'll be fine.
thank you both. I'm a
I'm
little
just gonna
relieved.
kind of, hello. So I'm just gonna kind of throw in. I'm a gum chewer. I was before surgery, not so much after because I mean it does help with stress, but you also have to watch with the gum chewing because it can cause trapped gas, and trapped gas is not fun.
That's a good point, Susan. Yeah, about 80%. So about 80% of air in our intestines is from air swallowing, and about 20% is from food that we ingest that is metabolized or that's broken down by bacteria. So some of us are what are called aerophagics, meaning that we swallow air. Usually it's subconsciously. That's one of the reasons why when we do bariatric surgery, that we say no, that you don't do straws, that you don't do other things to avoid ingesting air in the immediate post-op period. And yeah, not all gum chewers will ingest air, but it can increase that. So if you're someone that gets symptomatic from ingested air, like for example, you're a big burper, or you pass a lot of gas, or you feel bloated, then keep that in mind for sure. Thanks for sharing that, Susan.
I have a question. With all my disabilities, I have a lot of medication. There have been times where the medication has gotten stuck in the acid of that medication. It burns your chest and your stomach and gives you that nauseous feeling of wanting to throw up everything you just took down. Is there a better way to deal with that so that it's not affecting the fact that I will not eat anything or the fact that I'm in that much uncom discomfort, I should say?
Well, there's a few things you can do. You probably already know them. Number one is make sure you take medications not on an empty stomach. So take it with something to coat, whether it's a little yogurt or a little something ahead of time. Number two, enteric coated tablets, right? So that there's a coating on it, so it doesn't just break down in your stomach pouch, right? But it goes through down to your intestines, will help if you have that option. The other option is obviously to do something in a capsule form. There's lots of different formulation versions. So let's pick a generic hypertensive medication. You talk to your doctor and you say, hey, or your pharmacist, you talk to your doctor first because they're the ones prescribing, say, hey, listen, I'm having an issue with X medication. Is there another formulation, either enteric coated capsule form or whatever? And then just try something else out.
Okay, will do.
I think Miss Brunilda, you have I saw you raising your hands before. I'm wondering if you have something to share with us.
If she's on mute or she didn't hear you. While we're waiting for her, though, anybody else? Either about our topic tonight or anything you want to share, or questions or comments or anything? I can always give her a call afterwards too. I know I was supposed to make an appointment with her, so.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, do you want to get it wrapped up then?
Wait,
Wait,
can I ask one
actually,
question? Me and my husband are debating this. Is all salad good salad?
It's all salad, good salad. Or what context we're talking about? After bariatric surgery in general?
In general, we both are on this weight loss journey. He did not have the surgery. I did, but he's supposed to be my partner, and he's like, "Oh, give me a salad," and it makes me like, okay, so if he eating a salad, I should eat a salad. But the salads we are getting, it got some stuff in it. It's good. Like it's it's good. I got some chicken, some corn, some fruits, some yeah, it's good. And I know to be light on the dressing. I understand that one. But as far as how much stuff in a salad is like, okay, this is no longer healthy, it's a meal.
Well, why don't we let our dietitian answer that? I can tell you about the bariatric surgery piece, but maybe Brenda can talk about the salad question thing.
Okay, so it really depends on why you're including the salad. Remember that salad are going to provide vegetables, which are going to provide nutrients. So remember that for you to get vegetables, they don't necessarily have to be in salad form. They can always be like grilled vegetables or green smoothies or vegetable soup. So that's the first thing. The second thing is what we kind of talked today. It really depends on how you're going to balance that salad and what's the purpose. Like, for example, if you're going to have it as a whole meal, like you're saying, then there are several things that you need to talk. Like, okay, what's going to be my protein source? Chicken, like you said, is a very good option. You can add meat, you can add like the low fat cheese. In some other people, eggs or fish, which I know that in your case it's not. But as long as you add like a protein source, that's the first thing. Then that's the rest of the ingredients you do need to balance. So, for example, remember that we have the carbs and the fats. So, for example, I would recommend adding just one source of carb. So, for example, if you add fruit, then perfect, that's going to be your carb source. But try not to be like, I'm going to add fruit and then I'm just going to say a bunch of ingredients that may not mix well, but oh well. And that you are going to add fruits and they're in tortilla chips, and then you're going to add like bread and then croutons. Like those are all carb sources. We need to stick with one so that you have it all balanced. And the same is going to apply with fats. Maybe you can choose one for the dressing and one as an extra fat. So the dressing is always going to be a fat. It's either going to be made with olive oil, hopefully. And if it's creamy, it's still going to be fat. So then we need to pick another one. So try for you to focus on one, whether it is avocado or seeds, for some people, nuts. What other bacon can also be kind of included there, although I would recommend avoiding it. So as long as you're having like a very good protein source, one carb and one fat, that can make a complete meal. Like you said, it is all going to depend on the type of salads that you have. Like I've seen salads where they're like, okay, it is a little bit of lettuce, but then there's like ranch and eggs, and then cheddar cheese and avocado and bacon, and then all of a sudden it goes from a healthy salad to a meal that is like almost the entire amount of calories that you should be eating in a day. So yeah, it's all going to depend, but for to balance it, that's where we go into the macros that we talked about, like just making sure that they're all balanced and that you make sure not to overload the salad. Where you can overload it, it's with non-starchy vegetables. Like add the amount that you want, the type that you want, that you can do unlimited. So you can add lettuce and mushrooms and carrots, onions, bell peppers. Like try to add as many non-starchy vegetables and control the other ones, like the rest of the ingredients that are going to be healthy, but that are going to add more calories, more proteins, more carbs and more fats. That those are the things that we need to control. But yeah, a salad, just because it says salad, it's not like a free pass of yeah, you can eat you can eat it at any time if it has all these other bunch of ingredients.
That's a great breakdown, Brenda. I mean, from a bariatric standpoint, I think you just have to be careful depending on the anatomy, right? If you have a duodenal switch or a gastric bypass, remember that when we bypass your stomach, we're giving you about 10% of your stomach after a bypass, for example, right? So remember what your stomach does before bariatric surgery, even with a sleeve, right? It's a big mechanical pulverizer. It's like a bag of muscle. It's mechanically grinding everything up. Well, after bariatric surgery, you don't have that same functional capacity. So your fork, your knife, your teeth have to do what your stomach used to do. So things that have a lot of insoluble fiber, like salads and vegetables, you can do, right? You just have to be careful with them. It's like if you have old pipes in your house and your bathroom sink keeps getting clogged up because you keep getting hair down it. You just have to kind of keep the same analogy in mind when it comes to insoluble fiber, when it comes to salads and vegetables. So just do small portions initially, cut it up really well, chew it really well, take your time. Remember, your pouch after a bypass is going to empty at a different rate, whether it's liquids or solid food or the consistency of the food. So if you drink something, it's going to empty out of your pouch right away. If you have something like a bite of salad, it's going to sit there in your pouch for a minute and slowly empty out. So if you overdo it with the speed or the consistency, you don't cut it up or chew it really well, it's going to sit there. And then if you take another bite and it's too fast, I mean, I don't have to tell you this. You already know this. You're going to feel it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I want to say something on the salad part. I'm notorious for going to Pops to get the chopped salad, but that will last me 4 meals because I will split it down and I don't use a lot of dressing, especially because I have a hard time chewing with my TMJ. And so having it chopped makes it a lot easier and I can digest it a lot easier. But at home, we're a big Italian family, and so I was raised with starting out with salad before dinner. Now, my dad's idea of a salad is let's get the biggest bowl and dump everything you could possibly imagine. It's a garbage salad, is what he makes, and half the bottle of dressings in there. And but for me, because he tries to make me salads now sometimes, he'll just take the leftovers. I'm like, oh no, this is not going to work, Dad. So what I notice I do is if he does that, I usually just directly take half of that. I split it. So I'll have him make the salad or I'll make the salad and then I will split it into portions. So I don't sit there and eat the whole salad that my dad made, which I don't eat half the stuff he puts in it anyways, but it's just something that I've learned to do and I don't let him pre-make salads and stuff like that. But just a suggestion.
Yeah,
Christina?
I absolutely love the chopped salads. I get mine from Rubber's Grill, and you're right, it's huge. I cut that thing into like fours. I can eat off that all day long, and it comes with a vinaigrette instead of like a thick dressing. So I think that's better. I'm not positive on that one, but I do put it in when I eat it. So yeah, I agree. Chopped salads are the best because they're so small, and I get more out of them.
Yeah.
Christina, sorry, Sue, yeah, Christina, you mentioned something that if I were to add a topic number 6 to our thing tonight about barriers, it would be support and environment or lack of, right? Meaning, you have a spouse, do you have family members that either are supporting you or not supporting you? When it comes to eating together as a family, diets, stuff like that, it's kind of like if you got a husband and wife and one person wants to quit smoking and the other is smoking a pack next to them every day, right? It's very tough to make changes, you know, in your diet and your lifestyle when other family members in the house are not doing the same thing. It's very tough to shop and cook one way for yourself and do it for everyone else a different way. So that's another common barrier I see is, you know, like you said, you're from an Italian family, your dad likes to make these garbage salads, and then you're trying to figure out, well, how do I do this in a way that's good for me without, that's tactful. So, you know, you just have to have a conversation and see if you can get everybody on board so that everyone, you know, they're supporting you and they understand, so they're not taking it the wrong way when you're not necessarily eating the food that they're eating.
Yep, good point. My dad's definitely a unique person, and when we make salad, when my mom was alive, we would put everything like in little bowls and separate it so we could do whatever we want. But now it's just, why go through, 5 bowls when you can just use 2? So that's, it's a learning curve. And my dad is, well, oops, he's in the kitchen now. He is interesting, to say the least. I went and bought like little bags of chips, and he's like, why did you buy the little bags? Well, so if I wanted something, as a treat, I eat just that little bag. Well, no, he went and bought the family-sized bag of chips. And guess what I found on the French room table this morning? So, yes, thank you for bringing that up, because that does make things more complicated, and it's something that has to be considered. Okay, Kyla?
All right. Anybody else wants to share?
I did want to ask you something, Dr. George. So we had that conversation in office a month ago. About this whole thing. I was wondering if maybe we could talk at another time, because you know how my brain is, and I don't quite remember the whole process. So if you could reach out to me or something, that would be great. Kyla, stop. I would appreciate that, because I remember bits and parts, but I try to go back and read like visit notes, but obviously there's not much in it. So that would be extremely helpful to me right now.
Separately offline, not a problem.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, everyone have a fantastic evening. Thanks for joining us, taking some time away from your normal schedules. Hopefully it was useful. And if you guys have any questions, you want to reach out to the team, you can always reach out to us through our website and send us an email. And otherwise, we'll see you for the next support group. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.